The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lane and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lane and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in and making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lena Williams and David Vaccaro. I'm David.
I'm Lena.
Actually, I was supposed to be Ralph today. Is that what he said last week? I was going to say I was Ralph.
Oh, yeah. Well, I said that one day you were going to do that, but I told you not to do it the next week.
I didn't.
You said, I'm gonna. I'm like, well, don't, because I'll be prepared.
Well, I wasn't. I forgot anyway. So
you didn't,
now I remembered. And you know what? It's going to happen every single week. I'm going to say, oh, shit, I was supposed to be Ralph. And I never will be. So
okay,
there's that. So we got an interesting show today. We're doing a show on the sex industry. And we have one of my friends here who is a guest. And today we're not going to go by her real name because we're going to get the really low down skinny on strippers. And also she's does pretty well on OnlyFans as well. So we're going to hear the scoop and the truth, but we're not going to give her a real name. So she's going to.
And I think the only reason that we're not going to give her real name is so that if there's somebody out there that has the name that we're using, it's not that person.
That's right. Yeah. And
otherwise, there's really absolutely no reason for you to know this, except for that.
That's a good idea.
Use the name.
That's right.
The person whoever does have this name out there in the world.
Because you know damn well somebody does. Because
of course.
Yeah. So we're going to refer to her as Chloe, like Chloe Dancer.
Okay.
You know, Mother Love Bone, one of my favorite songs ever. So yeah, it's about a stripper. So how can I not? Chloe.
I know.
So if your name is Chloe, it's too bad. It's not that Chloe that you know, right? So
that's a good reason to make a comment about that.
Yeah, we don't want to fuck up somebody, poor stripper's life, because she's like, everybody thinks it's her, and now she gets fired because she's talking shit about the clubs and, whatever comes up.
Right.
So, yeah, today we have with us, for all intents and purposes, Chloe. Hi, Chloe.
Hi.
So, Chloe, how you doing?
Hanging
what
in
is
there.
shaking?
What is shaking?
Usually her ass, right?
Typically.
This is going to be, this can be one of those.
Yeah. Well, it's really not
bad
actually,
dad joke kind of.
Yeah,
episodes.
Of course, there's going to be.
Dave's going to tell a bunch of jokes that are going to make me roll my eyes.
Yep.
That's okay.
That's right. You can roll your eyes at me. That's
I always roll my eyes at you, and I don't, you're used to it.
I am.
I'm just saying for the audience.
That's right.
I'm all over it for the audience. There's going to be women that listen, and they're going to be like, this dude and his jokes. So I'm just saying.
That's all good. That's right. This is the dude that you're listening to. Remember that, and his jokes. So we wanted to go over a couple things, Chloe, and we're going to talk about first. I think the stripping. Well, let's talk about OnlyFans first, because I think that's going to be a lot. I think we'll talk about OnlyFans first, because OnlyFans is something that's fairly new. Everybody is on OnlyFans now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but we want to talk.
It's acronym OF. So,
OF.
if you're on some dating site somewhere and some dude is like, yeah, I'm all set with the OF. If you're dealing with the OF, you can swipe left on me.
Right.
That's going to be my comment about this. And I have a lot to say about that. But anyway.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure. It's kind of funny because, and we're going to talk about that stuff today too. We're going to talk about how does it affect relationships and how does that work out? And, so with OnlyFans, obviously you get a ton of, and I'm just going to say retarded men, because
it doesn't end.
I'm sure it doesn't. But I mean, look, more power to you. You make plenty of money, and I know, like I said, she's a friend of mine. I know what she makes from OnlyFans, and it's impressive. And if I could do it and make that money, I'd do it too. So the thing is that how do you feel like when these guys are, because they're not you have to separate your real life from those guys because otherwise you're going to hate men, right?
Yeah.
So do you find yourself starting to like treat men differently because of that?
As far as like in my personal life, no. But as far as like anything work related, whether it's OnlyFans or the club,
yeah,
I kind of just look at it as
not real.
Yeah.
Well, and that's good that you can separate that because I can tell you.
I mean, I know it's very real for them, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it's fantasy to them because
I'd like to talk to some of them about their.
I know it's crazy because I mean, being friends with people that like Chloe, she's a beautiful girl. And she photographs amazing. Her pictures are absolutely incredible. And I'm sorry that we can't share her OnlyFans with you because it's
right.
And she's so there are, as you know, there are some girls out there that are doing straight up porn on their OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel about that? Like, do you think that, because I know that you don't.
Correct. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't feel any type of way. If that's what they want to do on their platform, by all means, you know what I mean? Make your money. But I also feel like a lot of people are going about it the wrong way. Like you could subscribe to somebody's page nowadays, like, and as soon as you enter their page, like it's everything like straight, like hardcore porn.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not like you're paying per view or because there's not like any limits anymore.
Yeah, because and people that don't know, like OnlyFans as a platform used to just be posting whatever they posted you saw, and then of course you could private chat with the girl and you could say, hey,
actually, can we do this? Only because I think I don't know as much as you guys about it, but I'm assuming that some people listening are going to be like, can you just give me the brass tacks of like what it is for people who aren't really sure, have heard of it or haven't even heard of it at all?
So OnlyFans is a platform, and not everybody uses it for nudity or anything like that.
No, a lot of comedians and musicians are doing it now just to kind of like highlight their private life.
Yeah, so you pay a monthly fee, and you can you get a feed, and you can see that person's feed. So, but now they have pay-per-views and everything like that. So in other words, they can say, "Oh, this is what I did to see this video." And if it's porn, they'll be like $20. Or
it's basically like a private Facebook.
Yeah, it's a private Facebook that you pay a monthly fee for. So imagine on
just
Facebook. Imagine on Facebook you wanted to, you could charge, and only your subscribers can see your page.
Your wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it looks a lot like it, and then it's got a little chat area too, and you can send messages.
And then from there are like features that you can do on top of that. Is that how that works?
So the provider can, right?
Yeah. So depending on the person, like whose platform it is, you could sit there and like for me, for example, I do pay-per-views. So like my wall is just like when you subscribe to my page, you're seeing whatever I generally put on my wall. As far as anything else, like in order to get access for that, I send out I send out a message, and whether they choose to open it or not is on them, but they're paying for it. Correct.
Right. So so basically you're paying, and we don't have to say your numbers. You can choose any number you want, but I mean I've seen them up as high as $40 a month or $50 a month, and then as you're seeing all that, it's just like their daily nonsense, right?
So
and then they charge $40-$50 for a 20-minute clip or a 10-minute clip, or
a lot of people do. And the cool thing about OnlyFans is you can do things such as like bundles. So like instead of just subscribing for that 1 month or having it on a reoccurring subscription, you can get like a 3-month bundle and have it like 50% off of what you would have paid for those 3 months in general.
So
that makes sense.
The sex industry is actually turning into, and I love that they're doing that, because it's funny, because years ago, somebody was a stripper, right? That's the only place where you could really make income is stripping in the sex industry, or a prostitute, I guess. But they didn't have to know business at all. And today, I can tell you that with Chloe, I just, in fact, we did her taxes today, and she's a 1099 self-employed, right? So there's
Right.
money that is made, but you're a self-employed. So they, not only that, you're learning business, right? You've learned business. You're learning about bundling packages and marketing and everything else, right? It's not just about taking the clothes off.
No, absolutely not. It touches with everything. And like the thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to like the sex industry is like we pay taxes just like everybody else. Like we put in like so much work to get to the points where we're, like the amount of time it takes to get ready or the things that you need, whether it's OnlyFans or dancing or porn, whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I happen to know you spend quite a bit of money on outfits to do photo shoots and stuff.
Outfits, makeup, nails.
And you pay for photo shoots too, right?
Oh yeah, I used to go religiously. I mean, it's you know, different world nowadays after COVID, but
yeah. So it really was like a legitimate business. These girls have to go and pay money to a professional photographer to get their photos done in different outfits, and the outfits are not cheap. And I know. I mean, I was just.
It goes as far as OnlyFans too.
Huh?
It goes as far as OnlyFans too. Like back to like getting those weird messages. Like I have guys that will literally send me extra money or tip me extra on a picture of my feet to go get my toes painted a certain color.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
good.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Why not?
Works for me.
Sure. Yeah, me too. Well, it would work for me. It doesn't.
It's funny, and now I'm gonna jump in, and I didn't think I would, right? But now
I knew you
here
would.
we go. There are guys who do OnlyFans as well,
of course,
and I can't imagine having a problem with a guy who did that. I mean, outside of somebody who obviously is extremely self-important, and some of these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just an ego thing, and that has nothing to do with OnlyFans. It would just, there are guys that are just like that anyway.
Yeah.
And this would probably exacerbate that issue.
Sure.
But it's weird to me that there are people who have like some kind of issue with that. It's like,
right. And
if you can make the money, make the money.
And let's talk about that. You dance and you have an OnlyFans, and does it affect your personal relationships?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody thinks it's cool to, start off and be like, hey, like I'm going to go out on a date with a stripper.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything's all fine and dandy at first, but then jealousy starts to come into play. And then, it's, well, you're doing X, Y, and Z online and X, Y, and Z at the club. So you're doing something wrong and I want you to stop doing it. So, I mean, it definitely affects, a lot of, and that's not even just relationships as far as like a significant other. That goes as far as family. You know what I mean? Like I've had family stop talking to me. I mean, my mom's my biggest supporter, but I've had certain family members just cut me off because of what I do. But they cease to like realize that at the end of the day, like your occupation doesn't correlate to who you are as an individual.
right.
Well, yeah, it doesn't directly, right? So, I mean, in all fairness, there are certain things that you can get from a stripper, and including OnlyFans. Some people on OnlyFans will meet up. They are also prostitutes.
Oh, absolutely.
So you have to understand where that came from, and I'm sure you do, because I'm sure you see plenty in the industry.
But that's a matter of trust in the person you're dealing with, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep.
And I was just going to say
were
that.
you going that way?
I was going to, but that's okay.
Is that where you're going, Dave?
You took
because
it right.
Well, and that's, I had recently got out of a relationship. It wasn't that great. And, one of the biggest problems was, not being okay with other people seeing my body. It didn't matter if nobody was touching me and, I was going home every night to my significant other because in his eyes, it was still wrong, Yeah.
And that's up to him to make that decision. Then he should not have been with you in the first place.
Absolutely.
That's my thought process on
Especially
that.
when you...
Again, I have psychological... I'd like to sit down and have a conversation with somebody who says that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make logical sense. It just doesn't.
It doesn't make logical sense.
But anyway.
And I'd like to say as a guy, if I had a problem with it, then I shouldn't be dating somebody that that did it. And as you guys know,
I get maybe somebody decides that they're gonna. All right, maybe it is silly, and maybe I shouldn't be this way about it.
Yeah,
I get. Yeah, I get a person trying to say, okay, let me separate the two.
I can see
and
it
if they can't
at
do
some
it, they
point.
can't do it.
I can see at some point, like a lot of people already know, and you know. I used to date a famous porn star, and when I first started dating her, she was a porn star, and it was cool to me. Then we lived together, and we got engaged, and everything was going smoothly. After a little while, the porn had already ended, but she was still dancing because it was she enjoyed it. And later on down the road, I wanted more growth. So to me, I wasn't jealous about it because I didn't care about it. She had a beautiful body. Share it with the world. You know what I mean? Just do what's right. And
that's the mentality you gotta have, though.
Yeah, but at some point, I expected growth, though.
Well, that's the thing.
It takes time, though. You don't get to tell somebody after 6 months. I was with her for 4 years and engaged to be married. Right. So that's when it started to not really bother me, but it was about time to come to an end and
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, I mean, it's not like every single female who does decide to go dance has a plan of dancing the rest of their life. You know what I mean?
Whether you have that plan or not, it's not happening.
Right.
Although there are places.
But, and the other thing is once you kind of start with this industry, it's very hard to stop because the money that you would make at any other job is not what. So, like, if you're struggling in a relationship and it's like comes to like, losing the roof over your head because they're not happy, well, sucks to suck.
So you get to say to the guy you're with, well, why don't you make up the difference?
Yeah, are you going to pay my bills? Because right now my bills are my bills. And I will say that Chloe is a very responsible person, has a really nice house that she rents. She's got nice furniture. Her place is really nice. It's comfortable, but it's not cheap. Her bills are her bills. And, would she be able to do that if she goes to work at
How about setting
Walmart?
yourself up, though, like in saying, now, there's years ago, obviously, OnlyFans is really new.
Right.
There was somebody I knew years ago, God, in the 90s, I think, who, she was basically a sex worker. She came out of Phoenix, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, she wasn't necessarily, she was a stripper. She did sex shows. She was not she wasn't sleeping with anyone, or at least that we know of. But whatever. Yeah. That was her choice if she did. I don't really care. But she actually was looking to go to like college to be, I think she wanted to be an oceanographer or something like that. So she basically kind of toured the country, did what she could do, picked up shows here, picked up shows there, and then banked all her money. Yep. And she went to Hawaii for college, bought herself a car for like $5,000, bought herself an apartment, and put herself through school. So that's something that's an option too, where you can just bank your money. Maybe you live modestly, but you live cleanly. Whatever, you have an apartment, it's good for you. You make decent money, but you don't want to spend all of it. You put it in the bank. You start to invest, right? Why not?
Absolutely.
Set yourself up.
if you're able to progress with yourself, regardless of if it's physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, like, I don't know. I feel like there's too many people nowadays trying to criticize that, like, everyone's taking that into consideration instead of just
right. I mean, look, it doesn't matter what you do for a living. I promise you'll get criticized. I mean, I'm in the tech industry, and I'm a pretty successful guy in the tech industry. I was criticized by my family and friends because they're like, grow up, get a real job. I'm like, stop playing on the computer all day. I'm like, really? I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. You will have critics. It doesn't make a difference. So,
well, there's people who cannot, they're only going to look, they're backwards type people where they're only going to look at what already is and can't see anything in the future. Like, they don't, to them, the status quo is like the status quo and everything else is out of the ordinary to them.
Everything else is wrong.
So you hear, when I was in the 80s, guys were like, fathers were like, nope, but you got to go to a business school. Yeah, you want to be a musician? That's not going to pay the bills. You want to be a dancer? That's not going to pay the bill. I mean, there's a million 80s movies about women who wanted to dance and their fathers were telling them they were losers for that kind of thing.
Oh, of course.
Right? But of course, you can only, it's your life, right?
So watch this. The girl who became the porn star, who was the famous porn star.
Watch this, Dave. That's your,
listen to this
quote.
She wanted to be a police officer, and her father said, "You're too pretty for that. You don't want to be a cop. You want to do something that utilizes your looks." Her father really is the one that he didn't push her into porn, but she started realizing that, okay, so guys look at me only for.
So I can
looks.
relate to that. Don't have a great relationship with my dad whatsoever. Actually, have no relationship. But right out of high school, I told him I wanted to open up an all-female mechanic shop. It'd be like Hooters, but working on cars. Everybody would have to be certified.
Make a fortune.
Well, that was not a job for a female.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to school for a year in business, or I had to get out of the house, which obviously at that point, being so young.
Sure, you had no choice. Yeah.
Yep.
And so now you're in business. And it's the sex industry.
Yep.
And,
So, Chloe, I'm going to introduce you to a girl that I know who is actually, who works in strip clubs and who fixes cars, and she's a serious mechanic.
I am here for it. I love that.
Yeah, she's
I love that
absolutely.
too,
I think her hair is pink right now, but she's absolutely. I love her.
Oh,
I love her.
no, that's
So
great. Yeah.
I'll have you. I'll let you know later. But yeah.
So we talked a little bit about how it affects relationships. Now, we talked a little bit and we touched on it, like future plans. Now, I already know, because I know you personally, you're not there yet. You have some ideas, but and you're solidifying. And I don't know, you have a business idea. I don't know if you want to talk about that right now.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because
I'm open to
I
talk
didn't
about
want to
anything.
attach you to. So, Chloe is excellent dancing on the pole, like amazing.
I wasn't when I first started.
No, you
Like
sure were.
Janine Butterfly, good, because Janine Butterfly is my girl.
Who is it?
Ooh, does
Janine
everybody
Butterfly?
know does anybody know who Janine Butterfly is? Are you kidding me?
Janine Butterfly. I do not. I'll look her
Oh
up.
God,
for
you
sure.
have to go look her up. She's like the U.S. champion pole
Oh, yeah.
dancing.
Crazy stuff. Yeah. So she wants to open up a pole dance studio. That's one of her
Okay.
goals. Now, I know because I for some strange reason, I know a lot of strippers. I don't know why. I never go to those places.
I do too.
No idea why.
But I do. I know why I do.
Yeah, right? I know you. Yeah, well, you DJ at strip clubs. So the thing is that I know a lot of strippers, and I'm calling them strippers because dancers get offended when I call a stripper a dancer. But now a lot of strippers have become dancers, and they're actually dancing like you, Chloe, dancer.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you are actually a dancer because when you move on that pole, you're dancing. You move to the music, and it's nice. It's good to watch. It's entertaining. It's not just about her being nude. It's about watching her dance. So, I forget what my point was. We were saying, so she wanted to open a pole dance studio. And I talked to other strippers and they go to some of these classes and they are on a waiting list for like 6 months to get into one class. Class.
That's legit. I mean,
yeah, it's a legit business. I mean, it's a big business, because not only strippers don't go there, housewives go there. People that want to be. Listen,
Oh,
I was
absolutely.
at her house the other day.
It
and
is
she-
a fitness, recreational fitness.
I couldn't even pick myself up onto the
category
pole
at
with
this
that
point.
thing. Like I couldn't. I can't squeeze the pole hard enough to hold myself up. I just slide off. And I even used the special
The pole grip.
pole grip. It's called. I had pole grip. So
Yeah.
I couldn't pull myself up. And there she is, like sticking out like a flag and walking around in circles. And
I'm
it's
telling
crazy,
you,
upside
this is
down.
why. Wait till we get off this podcast. I'm going to send you some stuff. But that's an actual legit. I mean, I know I have friends that have done those classes.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, it's not. I don't want to say it's not unique, but I mean, it's definitely not something that anybody's going to laugh at you about because it's definitely
Correct.
money to be made in the industry.
Absolutely.
Right.
You can buy yourself a studio and you're going to have customers immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what
Day
I mean?
one, you'd be booked
Right.
solid. It's just a matter of getting people to teach the classes because there's not enough of you to fill every class.
Right.
You
And
know.
I know, obviously,
Yeah.
plenty.
And that's, now let me ask you a question because the business side of me says you're already in business. You're already dealing with guys with money. Some, you know, you're dealing with some guys that, especially in the strip club industry, you've probably met a lot of guys that are pretty wealthy. Yep. Because they go in and you know who they are.
Yeah, right? I mean, I can read somebody within the first 2 minutes of them walking in.
And so can every guy in there if they're paying attention. So you have the ability.
Are they paying attention?
Probably not. Probably not.
Story.
See, it's a whole different.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a whole different animal in those places. I'm looking for contacts too. And so,
Dave, you and me, man, we got to go some night.
I know, right? We'd walk out of there with like all new investors and stuff. So the thing is that you have that opportunity while you're there to talk to those specific men. Don't tell everybody about it, because the guys that are there on their lunch break, and I'm not being mean by any stretch of the imagination, but they're going home to a wife with light pockets is really what happened. And they're going to say, oh, I went out for a couple drinks with the guys is what it's going to be. They're not going to invest in your company. Don't even bother talking to them. Don't waste your energy.
Right.
So as a business guy, my thing is that utilize those contacts. Absolutely. And I'm sure you will, you know, and I'm sure you do.
I mean, like I said, I mean, I can read somebody within the first 2 minutes of them walking in. So like, depending on like who I can see, well, one, obviously the first thing I look for is how much money they're about to spend, because I can tell by the shoes that they wear and the drink that they order. But so my thing is though, is like, if I in that time period of reading somebody, I can figure out if it's even like, if it's going to be one of those, I'm just putting up a wall, let's go for a dance, you know what I mean? Yeah. Versus like actually making conversation to somebody that could potentially help me later on.
Yeah. Well, you know, just like anybody, you know, my father used to say to me, if you go to a bar, go talk to the prettiest girl in the bar because she's the loneliest. Well, the richest men are probably the loneliest too. You know, they just want somebody to talk to. They love, here's the thing about guys with money. They love being mentors, by the way. But you got to be careful you don't get one that wants to tell you how to run your business too.
Or, you know, one that's going to be nefarious for other reasons.
True. Yeah, there's going to be that too. So now, which brings us to this. In the strip clubs, and, you know, and I said, in all fairness to people that look down on strippers, is because they've had an experience in the past where guys go in there and they say, hey, I can go upstairs right now and get a BJ at this place, or I can go to here and I can go to there. So when that happens, two things happen. And we've talked about this. One, the guys don't want to pay you the money because you're not doing that. Number one. Number two is that everybody just assumes that all strippers are prostitutes. And I can tell you that's not the case. I can tell you personally that that's not, from my point of view, and you can too.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people think you're lying because you work there.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Ever since I was, you know, wicked young, you know, there was a strip club in my area, and, you know, everybody always used to talk about what happened in Champagne Room or when you got a lap dance. Sure. So that's all I ever thought, you know what I mean? I didn't think it got into anything as far as just dancing and how it got into even competitive pole dancing or anything as far as that, you know? Obviously, as I got older, I looked into it and realized that that's not the case. I mean, that stuff definitely does happen in clubs. Absolutely. I mean, I've seen some crazy things with my
crazy shit.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy ass shit in my time. Yep. But I mean, I've been dancing since the beginning of 2018. So I've been dancing for a little while now, but
you're almost a veteran.
I know.
I know, isn't it funny?
I mean, I'm going to give 5 years veteran.
So, and I've known Chloe for a lot of years, and she was, and I saw the transition from her going from this, and it's amazing to me. She was such a shy person as far as nudity went.
You know, well, you get over that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I was kind of shocked when she said, "I'm going to go and try to strip," and I go, really? Good luck. You know, I mean, I wasn't thinking that she wasn't beautiful enough to, because trust me, she is.
And it was especially a huge difference too. Like when, you know, you go from not dancing to dancing, and, you know, trying to learn how to be comfortable with taking off your top and letting your tits hang low, to me waking up one day and being like, all right, you know what, that's too far. I need to figure something out where I can, you know what I mean, something that's closer, something that's going to benefit me in the long run. And, you know, the only option was going to a fully nude.
Yeah.
So that was a huge, I mean, I still get anxious, you know what I mean? It's not something I look forward to. honestly dread going to work every time I have work. The only part I like is getting to, being able to get ready, do my face, do my hair, throw on something cute and jump on the pole. Everything other than that is just like, get in there, get it done, and then leave.
Yeah, so you put on a persona. When you go to work, you have a stage name as well.
Yep.
And most dancers do. Actually, I've met a few recently that actually just use their own name.
Their own names, yeah.
But so as a musician, I used to put on a persona. I had my stage name was Cry, and I would go to the place early and be Cry. And I turned into Cry from David. I was no longer David when I walked in that place. I was Cry.
Yeah.
I was the front man of a rock and roll band. That's Cry. And totally different personality. Stop looking at me like that.
I didn't.
So she's kind of giving me this, like, she likes the rock guys, I think. So she's giving me the look like she's
Have you
envisioning
listened to
what
my
I look like back in the day. Yeah,
when I dance?
Yeah, you should dance to some of our music. Yeah, that would be fun. Now everybody's gonna know who you are when they hear some Love and Cry playing. But anyway, so becoming that persona, and I've seen you do it. I know at the beginning you didn't. You may have had another name, but you were still the Chloe I knew going into those.
Well, that's something that you have to like learn to grow into. You have to play around with it. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't work, especially, again, when it comes to reading people, not, every guy is going to want to talk to some shy little girl,
Right.
Some guys like a girl who's going to sit there and talk shit to them, and tell them like it is.
I've heard about this money shaming thing that this girl that I know does. She literally has this customer who's very wealthy, and he comes in and she's like, "How much money you got in your pocket?" And he's like, $1,000. She goes, "You cheap bastard, go get $5,000 and come back, or don't come back at all." And he goes and gets $5,000, and she's like, "Now give me it and go and get some more." And he does it. And I'm like, What is wrong with people? Like,
it's just
I want to know
I guess.
what happened in his childhood. It is. It's listen, everybody likes
listen,
what they like.
I'm not complaining when they're paying my bills.
No, I hear
Right.
you. I mean, obviously there's things that are too far. I remember, and I don't know if there is for you. I'm sure there is. I know you personally, so I know. We used to run a website. I told you I was engaged to a famous porn star, and people would buy her dirty underwear. They wanted dirty underwear. They wanted this, and she would sell dirty underwear. This is years ago now for $100. And then
that's still a thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we actually have a problem with guys stealing them.
Stealing the underwear?
When it gets to be a little bit busier, that's become a new thing at clubs, and not just the one I'm at currently, like a few of them.
Sure. Yeah.
A girl will be on stage doing her thing, and her underwear will come off, and she'll go to get up, and he'll grab them from over the side of the stage.
That's crazy.
People are ruthless.
And it's insane. They got a thing,
So the one question that I have, there's a couple obviously, and I'm gonna let Dave mostly do what he's gonna do here, but what is your idea or visual of what men are based on what you're seeing? And I know that you kind of asked this earlier, but I really want to know in general how you see men, I know that you deal with some of the worst. Sometimes you deal with some of the worst ones, or guys that are like uninhibited and don't care what they say or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard because other things come into play other than just jobs, like things in like your own personal life. You know what I mean? Involving men. So like, it's really hard to just base it off of work and stuff. But as far as I can't really, they're all going there for the same thing at the end of the day.
Right.
I can't look at a guy and just be like, "Oh, you're disgusting," because at the end of the day, I'm there choosing
No, I mean men. Yeah, I'm talking about men as
she's talking about, and you just had everywhere. This happen recently where men were coming in and like being really disrespectful. They're like, "Show me a brown hole." And
he said, "Let me see your brown eye." And I said, "Ask something like that again, I'm gonna give you a black eye."
Yeah, so it's
right.
So there's, let's get a percentage. How many percentage would you say are nasty treat.
And I'm not
like
talking.
shit.
I'm really not talking on the job. I'm just saying, like as a whole, on and off the job in general. Like, where do men stand? At this point.
Do you think
in society?
Yeah. Do you think that men are like, if you had to put a number on it, would you say it's 50% shitbags and 50% good guys, or would you say what would you say the separation is?
See, that's the thing though. It's so hard to put a percentage because every individual person has their own, you know what I mean? A guy could be, just as disgusting with his words versus trying to like put his hands on me at work. So, I mean, I'd say the person.
I would consider both those shitbags.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
But you're going to look at it as I'd rather have this guy sit here, lick his lips and say I look like a delicious little girl than this guy over here trying to move my underwear to the side.
Right. No, I get that. But, so I would consider them both shitbags.
Absolutely.
So,
but I mean, so.
You do see a lot of men. So
I'd probably say like 95%
of men are shitbags.
Yeah.
At work.
Yeah.
At work, yeah.
Okay, so now out of work. So,
and I personally believe this. I just believe that there are some things that have gone on in the past 3 or 4 years, and Dave and I have talked about. Mm-hmm. One of them being OnlyFans popping up, and I forget how long it's been out there now, but it's probably in the last 2 or 3 years become really big.
Yeah.
But then you've also got the pandemic, and you've got guys who, I believe, for lack of a better way to put it, I just don't have any idea how to have any social skills.
They don't know how to go out
because of social media and every other thing, right? So you combine all of that together, you got guys that are literally walking up to women in their real lives, just like screaming ridiculous crap at them.
Yeah, it's almost as bad because they got away with dick pics for so many years, and then
they just don't have any idea. Like, hey, here's somebody that I might want to treat like a human being for 5 minutes before I say, hey, let me whip this out, or whatever it is that they got to say. And this is not on the job. This is just like walking down the street. That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's last year I had traveled to Florida, and I was in, where was I? I was in Hollywood. Not like the best little area, but whatever. I went into a Walmart. 5 different men came up to me and just grabbed my arm to try to say something to me, whether it was about my tattoos, whether it was to try to talk to me to get my attention, came up and grabbed my arm physically. That happens. I mean, it doesn't happen up here, like where, as frequently, but like stuff like that happens on a regular basis, like leaving the club. I have to worry about men following me home, which has happened before. That's a thing. That's been a thing for years. Things like that happen, There was an incident where, a guy threatened me and then the club because I didn't want to hang out with him after I got out of work. And like that just kind of puts things into perspective, like,
like they think they're owed that. Like so something's going on, I think, with certain guys about that.
We had a friend years ago, and you'll probably remember this story. She was a dancer at a club in I believe Revere, or somewhere in that area, and somebody followed her, but they followed her home. But then they didn't do anything that night. But then they stalked her. She actually went grocery shopping one night, and when she came home, they murdered her in her front yard. 2 guys murdered her because they felt, and then they found out afterwards that one of the guys she turned down, and he spent a lot of money apparently, and he felt as though he was due something, and that's what he said. And it was all over the news because my buddy, who it was his sister-in-law that was murdered. He literally, it was on the news, and I remember watching him jump over and go and attack the guy in court. And it was all over the news.
See, the thing is like scary. This stuff like that constantly plays in every entertainers in like the back of their head, especially like, you could be on stage, like, how many times I'm asked every single shift, what do I get in the dance room?
Oh, of course.
That is I could probably say that is the most asked question in my club. What do I get out back?
Yeah, because they want.
And when you're not giving them the answer that they want, it doesn't matter if they put a couple dollars down on stage, because half the time they're going to try to take that money back. And that's when you become a problem and they don't like you anymore because.
Right. Exactly.
And that cracks me up because the question, it's like they care what the answer is. Why ask?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
why
When
even
they already
bother asking?
know.
If,
They already
yeah,
know.
Like if you already know, but if you don't care what the answer is and you want what you want, why even bother
so
asking?
in all fairness, they don't know the answer because some girls will go, "I'll hook you up,"
Right.
you know, and
Like,
they will.
You know,
So-
we just had a girl recently. She's from a different club. A lot of girls have been, moving all around just because right now it's slow season, especially in the North Shore. And, we just had a girl that recently went up on stage and she allowed 2 men to touch her in, her ass and then her boobs.
Yeah.
And,
So,
I went up, after the fact, and guess what? I didn't make anything because I wasn't about to allow that.
that's common in Rhode Island, by the way.
Now
Yep.
wait a
It's
minute,
very
why
common in Rhode Island.
don't?
So when you get
Isn't there
girls
like
that
They
come
aren't
also
to
there
do
that-
shower
rules
shows
out
down
in
there.
public? First of all, you got cameras in clubs, and then don't you have
Well-
bouncers that like won't allow stuff like that, especially on a stage?
So
Don't they get
in
their
Rhode Island,
don't they get their arms broken for stuff like that?
They're a lot more lackadaisical as far as touching goes. If the girl takes the guy's hand, she can take his hands and put them on her boobs, as long as she does it. So that's okay in
On
Rhode
stage?
Island. Yes. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know. I
And,
mean, I get
and
private
private
dances
So-
get
That is
weird, but
not legal in Mass at all.
So
Like, contact at all is
Massachusetts,
supposed to be illegal.
Maine,
Right.
New Hampshire. So this is the other thing though, is oh no, train of thought.
I heard the echo. That's okay. Yeah.
well, I mean,
so
I
you were
get that
talking about
across
boobs.
the board there should be rules because if you have women that do this and then women that don't do that, now you're going to have an uneven response from
Right.
guys that are
Okay.
doing
So
that.
actually,
That-
that reminded me. So one of
You're
the
welcome.
biggest things I think that is that is overlooked is definitely management and the other employees other than the dancers, the people who are supposed to be in charge of the club, who are supposed to be making sure
They're supposed to be protectors.
Absolutely. If you're sitting there and you're drinking or you're allowing these things, not talking to the girls who are doing these, you're allowing girls to wear butt plugs, things
That's
like that.
Horrendous.
Yep. And guess
That's
what?
so part
of it,
At the end of the day, it sucks because at the end of the day, for honest sex workers such as myself,
Yeah.
we get stabbed in the back. It doesn't matter how hard we work on the pole or how hard we try to hustle, because at the end of the day, the people who are supposed to be in control are not controlling. They're not caring.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day too. Is these guys that come in, they were being very disrespectful. The girl that was on prior to you, Chloe, let them actually touch her butthole,
Yep.
and then when those guys were tipping roughly about $80 per dancer. Not bad for a couple songs on stage, right? But you got $6 because you had to speak up for yourself.
Correct.
And now she's the bitch. And that's why I say, and ladies, if you're listening, you're a dancer, have some self-worth. Know what your worth is.
It don't matter if you seem like a bitch, because at the end of the day, you need to get yours.
If everybody's like that, though, you'll all make the $80 is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the guys will just calm
Yeah, but
down.
you have to understand, like that's that competition where there are some women they're going to come in, they're going to get what they want, and they
And
don't
they're
care
gonna-
what the
yep.
whole role is with everything
That's
else.
right.
They're doing
That's
their
right. They
thing.
don't-
When I was working in strip joints DJing, I would sit and listen to these conversations. Some of these women really would go all the way to the end with these guys in private
Yep.
rooms, and depending on the place, obviously they're supposed to all have camera, closed camera, and all that other stuff going on. Who knows?
They don't all have
But
cameras
those
in the
girls
back.
were like, hey, hey, this guy's my regular, and whatever, he wants to throw me an extra couple $50. Yeah, I'm gonna whatever.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You can't.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't tell them
And if
not
there's-
to do it.
and if
They're
there's
gonna do what they
any-
want.
If there's anyone that is listening that's higher up in the strip club, that's, not a dancer, a bouncer, or a DJ, if you're a manager or, you do something with scheduling, like, you guys need to pay attention to the girls that are working for you, because if it wasn't for them, you guys wouldn't have a business.
That's
and
right.
if we're not safe, if you're too busy drinking on the job, taking shots with your buddies,
Yeah,
or
that's
you're
wrong.
too busy, and the whole, it's crazy because managers nowadays are so inappropriate with
Right.
females. That's why I love when there's a female manager at a club.
There used to be at every strip club a house mom. and they don't.
It's
I
not
was just gonna say,
typical
they don't do that
anymore.
anymore?
It's
Not up here, they
not
don't.
typical. It's very very rare.
It is. They either that.
I know
or
a couple of them locally, or I know
Yes.
a couple of that used to do that.
Yeah,
So
me
that's
too.
interesting.
Yeah, they used to be house moms, and the house moms would make sure you were protected. That was their job, and they never drank when they were there. They worked, and they made sure you were being respected.
Your
and they
outfits
would
were never
immediately-
having an issue because they were be on
Correct.
top of it.
Yeah.
I used to have one when I first started dancing. We had one, and gay kid, best. I swear, never had an issue.
Oh, you're
My
talking the
hair,
best housemate
my
I've ever
hair
had.
came out fire every single night that he was there. I swear to God, never had to worry. But I never had to worry because anytime that I had an issue, if I needed him to grab a bouncer because I'm on stage and somebody's acting ridiculous,
Yep.
it's being handled. I don't have to sit there. You know, just recently, I had to speak to 5 grown men by my, and you know, I'm a petite girl.
Yeah. She's
I had to, you know, speak up to 5 grown men because they were interrupting, snapping, whistling, wicked, belligerent, drunk to this dancer and this regular girl who comes in all the time. And like, I don't stand for any type of disrespect, whether it's to me or anybody else. So obviously, my
So here's
managers
what I
weren't
wanna
doing
know.
the job.
I want to know why that went by the wayside. Is obviously this is a money thing.
So
Because the managers and owners
the
are paying for this. This
managers
is a
would-
job that they
managers
eliminated.
at that moment. Managers were taking shots with their buddies at the bar, and
No. I'm not talking about what happened, what she just described.
Oh.
I'm saying why are house moms getting yanked out?
I don't
Who's
know.
in charge of
It's
that?
I don't know. It's a bad idea though. It's in my
Like in other
opinion.
words, this has got to be the owners or manage the owners don't want to kick the money into or something. Something's going on here where
Gotta be.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter how much money goes in and out of a strip club. If they can save money and keep and pocket it any other way, and that means, you know, not having a house
gotta
mom,
be what
then
happened.
they're gonna do that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many nights where they
Agreed.
needed an extra bouncer, and you know, it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, they're looking elsewhere.
So here's another question that you know, a lot of people will ask, especially with OnlyFans. Do you need this attention? Is it something that, because I find that a lot of younger women, and I'm not putting you all in the same bucket, but a lot of them need some sort of attention for validation. So is this a form of validation that you receive? Do you feel as though it's like emotionally healthy for you? Or do you feel as though you have to make sure you separate it and know it's not real? Because it doesn't matter how many followers you have online. It matters. Your real life is what matters, right? So how do you handle that?
So, because I'm being completely open, it didn't start out like that. It ended up being like that. It
Right.
ended up feeling like I need validation. Why is nobody liking this picture? What is
Yeah.
the difference, you know, between this lingerie piece and this one? Is it because my boobs are too low in it? Is it because, you know, and then I start thinking like, why aren't, you know, I could go and post a normal picture and not get half the likes. You know, when it goes as far as OnlyFans, you know, it didn't start out that way. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll make extra money and, you know, it is what it is. Over time, I've definitely grown. So now it's not like, oh, like I'm looking for that specific.
Now you just want the dollar.
Now I just, well, yeah, I mean, now I have, you know, a house, a car,
Right.
you know, a life. So it's, you know, those are things that I need to take care of. But again, that comes into play. Once you start in this business, it's so hard to get out. You're a hamster on a wheel.
Of course. And because there's no job. And all this time that you're there, you're not learning any other trade or anything like that too. And nor do you need to, because you're making, where else can you go and make $1,000 in one night, right?
Right.
Or more.
And the
Right.
thing is people overlook the fact that like you individually is doing that work. You are sitting in there having this conversation. You're
right.
physically doing what you need. You know what I mean?
I know that, you know, I will tell you that you stand out as a dancer, and I only went and saw you once because, you know, you're a good friend of mine, and that's not the only reason I go. I enjoyed watching you dance. It was great. But I do go to strip clubs quite often, and I will tell you that you put a lot of effort into the way that you look when you come out on stage. You put together, you match your makeup with your stuff. I mean, she's amazing to watch. amazing.
Well, and I try to, and not only that, but I also try to read the room. So depending, if it's like an older room, I'll have like the DJ play older music, but I still try, it doesn't matter what's thrown on, I'm trying to work with what I have.
Yeah, of course. And that's a respectful thing too, is that, that won't reach. So she just dropped something and she's got to pick it up. And go ahead, you can take your headphones off. Oh, you got it?
I have monkey toes.
I have monkey toes. She picked them up with her toes. Okay, fair enough. She dropped her vape on the floor, everybody. So in case you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, I have to tell you. So the thing is that social media today in general, forget OnlyFans for a minute, even social media. I watched this thing where young girls were getting like literally in one day 1 million likes on a picture. And I watched this one girl that would be like, she'd post a picture and she would literally watch it for the first 5 minutes. If she didn't have 25,000 likes in 5 minutes, she would delete the picture because it was embarrassing to her. I'm like, what the hell? Like, so the thing is that
I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
And I'll be straightforward with you.
But if you're on OnlyFans and you're getting revenue based on likes and all that, that's different because it's monetary.
That's correct. Monetary is different.
So this is the thing. But that's where I was going with this.
Right.
That's the thing. What people don't understand is so for example, now you can, have a platform, say Instagram or Facebook, and then you can have this other little thing. So all you do is click it and it shows you links to other pages. It could be OnlyFans, Instagram,
right.
Snapchat, does not matter.
Yep.
Having an Instagram platform and trying to make it grow, you need it in order to get people to jump on your OnlyFans. You have to try to post things that people are going to like. So then, at the end of the day, everyone's gonna look at you though and be like, "Oh, you care about what other people think." It's not even just necessarily that. I care about what they think as far as giving me money.
Right. Yeah, that's the difference. So it's a monetary thing now as opposed to a validation thing. You already know who you are.
Yeah.
And of course you're still young and you got, and I'm not saying this in a bad way.
No, I know.
We all do. We all grow every day.
Absolutely.
Look, I'm 65 years old. I'm 56
Are
years
you
old.
65? Wow.
Holy shit.
Last time I talked to you, you were like not even, you were like at least 9 years younger than that. What, you must have had a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a rough week. I thought I was 65. I don't know.
Here's my question, and don't ask me how I know
this. I'm sitting next to a young,
this.
beautiful sex worker that's absolutely makes me feel so old, but she's, yeah.
Don't ask me how I know this. Yeah, well, look at me,
I'm
Dave, because that'll balance you right out, right? Because I'm an old troll that lives under a bridge. So between me and you,
yeah, but
I'm going to try to see if I can't. Sure. I have a beautiful dog. Yes, my dog is great. But outside of that, my question is, and like I said, don't ask me how I know this. How much porn site promotion do you do?
Porn site promotion. What do you mean?
It means I'm going to Pornhub, I'm going to XTube, I'm going to places like that and uploading things that are sending people to my OnlyFans for whatever else that they might want to see.
Oh.
Here's a clip of this. If you want to see more, here's my OnlyFans.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean people definitely do that. I don't do anything as far as like actual porn. I mean, I do some pornographic things on my OnlyFans. Again, all pay-per-view, but it definitely, I mean, people can use that just as like I said, as far as Twitter or Instagram. Yeah, you can, even on Instagram nowadays, as long as it's not the direct link to like Pornhub or like whatever, then you're fine. You can have it.
I think what she's asking is, do you utilize any of the porn things to put?
You might not, just because what you're doing.
I specifically,
probably not.
Yeah, I don't, because I don't go as far as, some of the other dancers that I know.
Straight up, they do hardcore porn with other actors and actresses and everything else.
Well, so this one girl that I know, for instance, hers was, I think it was like $15 or $20, and me and a couple of my girlfriends like put together like $2-3 each because we were just all interested. We kind of,
the one I know.
No.
Oh, okay.
And we were all just kind of interested.
Only $9.
No, we were all interested in figuring out, because like this is when like it was first becoming a big thing.
Oh, gotcha.
So this was just a couple years ago. So all of us got together because, you know, some of us were kind of on the fence of doing it, and we subscribed, and oh my Lord, I thought I saw it all. I did not until I subscribed to her page, because there was a whole electronic, like it was
electronics.
It was crazy, but
yeah, there's I mean, you know, listen, I'm not going to say I've never subscribed, because I have. I dabble. I like my freedom of whatever I choose to do, I do.
And that's your
I'm
own
a single
personal
guy.
private information.
And, so it is private, but I'm not shy of it.
Not anymore, I guess.
So, yeah, it's not private anymore. That's right. Whoops. And we won't edit that, because you know how I feel about editing. So, shit. It's out there now. By the way, I said my name was Ralph, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there are some things that are in my opinion, way more than I expected. And then there are some that are very, very tame. You know, I've seen yours, and it's pretty tame. It's classy. It's not, you know, yes, there's some nudes and stuff, but it's more like Playboy. It's not like you have your ankles behind your head.
I mean, I don't do anything as far as excessive in my book.
You're more Playboy than Hustler. Let's just
on OnlyFans, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
When it comes to the strip club, I mean, you've seen me. I'm a shark.
That's different. And again, you're
but
more
that's
like
because
Playboy's classy. I don't know if you know the difference between the magazines.
I know.
So yeah, one of them is like
all of our listeners are going to go, what? Well, you have no idea what those things are, because it's 2023 now.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Dave's making an old guy reference. He's making a boomer reference.
I'm not a boomer.
Well, I think you are.
Gen X reference.
Listen, Gen Z, as far as they're concerned, you're all boomered up.
Yeah, well, too bad for them. So, if it wasn't,
anyway.
By the way, if it wasn't for us, Gen X rather, none of this stuff would be available to you today, because we invented it all, right? So that's all really what happened. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to say something?
No.
No? Oh, okay. So let's see, where are we at? Yeah, so we're roughly at an hour. Let me see if I had any more questions. Let's see. We talked about that. We talked about...
I will say, regardless of OnlyFans or dancing, body, your self-image...
Yep.
There's, like, pros and cons to both of it. Like, you can think that, like, you look good because all these guys are looking at you. All these guys want to subscribe and buy. But then you stand next to a girl who has her butt done and her boobs done, and yours aren't as high up. And then, you know what I mean? Then you start thinking that...
So this is my question for you, because I did talk about that. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about, you know, besides the competition of being around other girls, but how does it affect you psychologically? Because there's always going to be somebody that you think is better looking than you. Like, in my opinion, I know people that you think are better looking than you, and I think you're better looking than them. So it's all, it doesn't even matter what you think, because in reality, and it doesn't matter what I think. It
doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
That's right. It doesn't matter what I think either. If you are satisfied with yourself, then that is really what's important, right? And I know the industry kind of like, look, you know this, it's all about vibe, right? I've seen a girl that's not very attractive making bank in a strip. It was her night. She just, you know what I'm talking about, right? They got this vibe going. They're in it, and everybody's throwing money at them because they've got this.
It's their aura, yeah.
It's not because of the way they look. They don't look better than the next person or anything like that.
It's the energy.
The energy they create that night works. So here's my advice as a man that goes to those places. And look, it's all about your energy. When I went and saw you, your energy was on point that night. You looked good. Your show was great. And, you know, if I didn't know you,
getting into that energy, though, getting into that, that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, every single girl who's walking in that building does not want to be there. And every time we walk out of that locker room, you have to have energy. Because if you don't, you're not going to make anything.
But a lot of times you can't fake it, right? So your energy, I see girls picking up their few bucks and walking off stage, and just the way that they carry themselves off stage or whatever, I can tell she's not happy.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't want to be around that, because for me, I'm a little different when I go to a strip club. To me, when I go to a strip club, it's a way for me to relax and feel the energy of the music and just naked people. I love it. If I could take off my clothes and join you, I would, because I love that. It's not a sexual thing for me. It's a cool energy for me. But I don't care how smoking hot somebody is. If she's got bad energy, don't come near me, because I don't want it.
So this is the thing that you need to understand as far as that is, you can have the best energy.
Yep.
You can be feeling great. You can be feeling yourself. You can feel like you look amazing. But the second you get off that stage and you only made $20, $25, and another female goes up right after you and she makes about $150,
yeah,
you're gonna feel down about yourself.
I get that.
That's unavoidable. Like,
but again, here's the thing, and we talk about this in every aspect, right? I'm attracted to petite girls that have dark hair. That's what I'm attracted to. That doesn't mean that they're better looking than somebody that's tall and blonde at all. So
yeah, but this isn't what she's talking about.
Well, it is, because the guys there the guys that are there may, even though your energy is great, the guy there may be more attracted to somebody who's different than you.
But that's the thing. That's where you choose as a dancer where you spend your time. That's solely on the dancer at that point.
Yeah.
If you're continuously sitting there and knowing that somebody's not feeling you, they're looking at the stage the whole time you're trying to have a conversation with you, they're not interested.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I get that. Okay. So in that,
you got to work the ones that,
and that's all part of this. Does it affect you psychologically, or are you starting to understand that?
Oh no, it affects you.
It does. I would think so.
1,000%. I mean, I have my own. Everybody has self-image issues. It doesn't matter what it is, but.
So how do you deal with that? Because I mean, a lot of strippers are drug addicts. There's a lot of them that are.
I used to be an addict.
I know, but you're not now.
Nope.
And you still have to deal with that bad feeling, because it's not a good feeling to feel worth less than somebody else. Nobody wants to feel that. So the psychology behind it is something that's like crucial to your survival, right? Because I would hate to see you lose who you are because of something like that, for example. And you're not, by the way.
Right.
If I see that, we've been friends for a long time, I would be like, time for you to fucking quit.
Yeah.
But it's not. So even though it does get to you, and I've seen you have bad days.
I have bad days frequently, but that's regardless of going into work or not. Just for anybody listening, I don't have the best skin. So that's something that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis. I go into work, the lights on stage are hitting my face. All I'm thinking about is these guys aren't even looking at my body. They're looking at...
They are too.
I know that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what's going through my head. It's not... I mean, I don't deal with it. It's a thing that... I deal with when it comes to me at that time. That's a battle that happens every time I go to work or every time I get ready to do my makeup. I feel great putting on makeup. I feel like I look like a baddie now. But at the end of the day, I still feel like I have to put that on to feel like that. I still feel like, and I mean, that just comes with not even just... Like I said, just dancing, it ends up coming, I mean, especially with society nowadays, everything with, like I said, Instagram and Facebook and people trying to keep up with everybody else.
Right. It's exhausting.
It is. It's exhausting.
That to me is that would be the biggest downfall. I don't know if it would be worth the $1,000 a night.
I mean, if you're on every platform and you're trying to keep up with everybody else on every platform, like it's a winning list. Nobody's got the time in their life to try to do that.
You're not going.
The other thing that right.
Do you know
the other thing that people
don't? The
don't
most downloaded woman on the internet. I forget what her name is, but if you look her up, she's the most downloaded woman on the internet. She's a heavy woman. And she's not, in my opinion, I don't think she's attractive at all. Yeah. But she has the most downloads of any other sex worker on the entire planet.
So I've actually it's crazy because kind of going back to like her question about what I think of men, along with, you know, this whole self-image thing, the amount of comments that you receive from people about yourself, whether it's your weight, your skin, how you look, your body, it doesn't matter. The amount of comments that you deal with on a regular basis, I mean, I had a guy literally give me $1 on stage and walk away laughing after telling me that I had the world's smallest ass. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that, like...
It's opinion.
Right, but all getting that 24/7.
Here's my question.
That's just
and
fucking
there's
mean.
nothing that we can do. Well, not my question. Here's my comment about that.
Yep.
If you look online, if you look at any, I think probably the worst thread or feed of people making comments and opinions is probably like a news feed where people just like, there are people who just live to freaking
They do.
insult
They're trolls.
everybody that they
They're
run
trolls.
into.
You know,
And that's the thing, you know, you have to learn to definitely block that out, but it affects you on, you know, I mean, hearing negative comments towards you or derogatory,
of course.
you know,
And
like...
nobody wants to hear that. Of course, nobody wants to hear that.
And in my opinion, I don't understand. Again, nobody's going to care what I say, and it's not going to change anything. But there's conversations we have on about dating site and dating apps where guys will match you just to lambast you and then go away, and you're like, you could have just
lambast you,
not. Basically just like tear you apart and tell you how no good you are and like how you're never going to be somebody for them, and you're kind of like, okay, what did you bother to like swipe right to tell me this for? Like, are you this bored with your like? But there are people now that are like looking
misery loves company
to insult
Absolutely.
you on purpose.
That's
you know?
like...
So we are reaching the end of our hour, and it's been fun and eye opening for sure. At the end of the day, are you happy?
With myself?
Yes.
Absolutely.
There they go. That's all that matters, because in reality, whatever you choose to do, and I'm just going to close by saying this, whatever you choose to do in your life, whether it's a sex worker or, you know, you're stripping, you're on OnlyFans, you do porn, I don't care what it is that somebody chooses to do with their life. It's their life. It's not for anybody else to decide what's right and wrong. And if you are dating somebody, and remember this, guys, if you start dating a chick and she's on OnlyFans and you've seen her OnlyFans and you're like, look at, and you know you're showing your buddies, look at this fucking hot chick that I'm dating, you know, remember.
And the buddy starts subscribing, and then you're like, oh, that backfired on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly
Right.
You know, oops.
Yeah.
I bragged a little too much.
The thing is this, that same girl you're bragging about, other guys notice that she's hot too. You're not the only one. So if you can't handle being with somebody that does that, then don't do it. If you can't handle being with a pretty girl because you're too jealous, then don't do it. There's a song years ago, I remember.
Yeah, but it's so much more fun for them to stay with a woman like that and tear her down.
Just destroy her.
It's just so much more fun.
And women, that's when you all gotta rise up.
That's right. That's where women got to rise up. Absolutely, 100%. And guys, if you want to be worthy of being with a beautiful girl, you have to look at yourself and go, you know what? I'm good enough. I'm a good enough man to be able to handle a girl like this. And what I mean by handle it is treat her good enough that she don't want to go nowhere else. That's all. It's as simple as fucking that. And I tell people all the time, don't date a good-looking girl if you can't handle it. I've said that to my friends, and they're like getting jealous that other guys are looking at her. I go, hey, she's a good-looking girl, right? Isn't that why you're with her?
Listen, you've seen some of my exes, where I've been more than willing to pimp them out for some cash. I have no problem with that. You know, take them to strip clubs on male strip nights and have guys, hey, like, would your boyfriend want to like pets walk around with like a loincloth on and
www.lainisboyfriends.com.
I have no idea, but we're gonna, between me and him, we're gonna see if we can work out a deal.
That's right.
Because then he brings me home some money to buy some steak and we eat good.
That's right. Care? And nobody else. Yeah. And these are people looking at them online too, and or at a strip club. They're not allowed to touch them. They're protected.
Well, they're not.
They should be. Right. So.
Right.
Thank you very much, Chloe, for joining us today. And it's definitely been eye opening. And just remember one thing.
What one thing, Dave?
The one thing that is, be satisfied with who you are, because that's what you have. That's you. And I wouldn't complain if I were you anyway. But
So listen, you
regardless
come
of
through
that-
the door at the end of the night, you come home, no matter who you are or where you went for the day,
That's right.
and you look at yourself in the mirror, and if that's good for you, then that's all that matters.
That's right.
That's all that has to be is good for you. When it's not
Absolutely.
good for you, then you have to work it out with yourself.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yep.
If it
Everybody
starts
outside
hurting
is
you-
outside.
Yeah.
Brush
That's-
them off.
That's the thing. Brush everybody else off. As long as you're okay with you, then that's all that matters. Because, and I'll say this to anybody that's in the sex industry or any industry for that matter, even people that go to work that hate their jobs. I've seen people come home crying from
Yeah,
a
you were
regular
saying that
job.
earlier, Chloe. How like you were like there were parts of the job that you really couldn't stand, but you get it done. But
Yeah,
then there's other parts of
absolutely.
the job that you really appreciate. You're not the only one. In every single
course.
field out there, there's like some crap at
Everyone,
work.
pros and cons.
You have to. Oh, here's this stupid thing I got to do every day that I hate it, but the
Yep.
other stuff is okay.
There's a
So
paycheck
I'll
at
just
the end
do
of it.
this.
Yep.
And,
Yeah. I'll do that
It's
because
the same everywhere.
yeah. Everybody. It doesn't matter what job
And
you're in.
it's the same everywhere, and half the time it's for less money. So there you go.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's
Exactly
very
right.
true.
That's
It's
it.
probably worse everywhere else.
Get your dollars. So everybody, this has been
This has been Chloe.
Chloe, and for all intents and purposes, that is not her stage name, nor is it her real name. Everybody, so if you know a Chloe out there that's I know Chloe dances. No, it's not her because
Nope.
that's not it. Yeah,
It is not the Chloe that you know.
So you guys, thanks for listening. I've been
That's a song.
David. It is Chloe Dancer. Oh
No, I know, but I'm saying we could make a song up called "Not the Chloe That I Know."
don't.
She was not the Chloe that I thought I knew.
Maybe I just might do that. That could be. That could
All
be a
right,
thing.
well there you go.
All right.
All right, I have been Lena. You have been Dave. And
I have, and she's been Chloe.
before we go, let's not forget we have www.lenaanddave.com. That's where all our podcasts are. That's where all our platforms are. All of our social media. So this is I don't think there's any podcast platform we're not on really at this point. That's
Nah, I think we got them
that
all.
everybody's using.
We're not
And-
on YouTube at this point. We're not on YouTube.
Right,
Not
but
yet.
I don't know that. I don't call that really a podcast platform
I don't either.
technically.
Nah, even though people. are
And
using
I
it.
think not Spotify. We were waiting on the one that, not Spotify. What's the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Look at we're like.
I think we're on. I think
what-
we're on all of them right now. So I think
we
got them
definitely are on all of them.
Yeah.
One of them was making a podcast platform, and that's not really what they were for. Do you remember? And we kind of were waiting on that. Other than that, but
all.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's.
I do, and I don't remember. So yeah.
I know.
Well, maybe we'll
This
remind
is-
you next week.
This is the
It
this
doesn't
is
matter.
the geezer. This is the geezer hour of me and Dave going. I don't
That's
know either.
right.
I don't remember
That's
either. I
right.
don't know. Do you remember? No,
I
I
don't
don't
remember. Nobody cares.
But that's where everything is. Like that's our grand central location of like all of the stuff that you want to go to branch out from there. Our podcasts will come up. They'll come right up top. Top is the most latest one, and everything's under that. So that's where you start. But if you want to download, subscribe, and give us 5 stars, we would appreciate that on whatever platform it is you use.
we love
Thank
that
you.
stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Right,
And
right,
you can
right.
call our fucking 800 number because nobody ever calls it. So I don't even know why I'm saying it.
Oh, see,
It's
we didn't need to tell
1-800.
that.
Well, I am because I said it last week too. I'm like, you don't know what the number. I don't know what the number is either. And you know why we didn't give it out?
Well,
because you don't call. It's 800-894-2158. And please don't call and say, so who is the hot chick Chloe? Because we're not telling you. So yeah, but you can you can call us and ask if you want. But yeah, that'll be our answer.
Leave us
So-
a message.
Yeah, leave us a message.
We'll when we get it, we'll laugh about it and be like, boy, this guy thinks he's going to get some information.
yeah, well, maybe we'll even post it.
Or
Who
this
knows?
girl. Oh, you never
Yeah,
know.
could be a girl. You sound pretty hot too. You could be a lesbian. That's okay.
So we'll be back with you next week, I believe, Dave. Will we be back with them next week?
yeah, we'll be back with them next
How are we
week.
doing with that?
Well,
Okay,
she's
just checking.
she's harassing me because
I know.
I haven't been available. And last week did we actually miss one? Like nothing.
Yes.
We-
And it's funny because I called you 2 days before. This is the saga.
This is the
of me and
ranting
Dave.
hour now. Yeah, this is the
So
saga.
I called Dave and I talked to him and he's like, "Oh my God, is it like I thought I had way more days for this? Is it already time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then we talked for a little while and we hung up and I went, "We didn't make any plans to do a podcast." The next day was Wednesday night, I believe, in like which let me
The
just
next
say
day
as
is our
the
podcast
editor of the
launches on
show, it
Thursdays.
is really it's so much fun to do the podcast Wednesday night so that I can be up till 3 a.m. trying to get it done for Thursday morning at 4 a.m. But anyway,
So I did you a favor,
yeah,
and we just didn't do
you
it.
did. Well, right, but we didn't say we weren't doing it. So I hung up and I'm like, were we supposed to do that? And we
So
weren't
guess
supposed
what,
to hang
everybody?
up, or...
Last week's episode,
Yeah,
that didn't
it was
happen.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's still. What episode is this, by the way?
This
4?
probably is 35.
No, I mean
for the. Oh,
4
you're
of
talking
the
about
season.
for the
Yeah.
season. This
Yeah.
should be 6, I believe.
What the? Okay, I don't even know.
Yeah, it is
It's
because last week or the week before last was Nicole part 2.
Yes, it was.
So, and that was definitely episode 5. Why? Because I graphically design all the flyers, and so that's why. I know.
Yes, you do, and she does a great job at it too. And I'm so glad that you do. I suck at that
aren't you
stuff
glad that I
anyway.
do all this stuff?
Yeah, I am.
Dave sucks at everything. The only thing Dave does is show up and talk. I'm
Listen,
just kidding. I'm
if
messing
you look,
with you.
if you can't see it, but we're both using the same microphone. I did all the research on the fucking microphones
Okay, you did.
and how to get this out here to all the platforms.
Okay,
I
I'm
did
messing
my-
with
I
him.
did-
Oh,
I
he's,
did some of
he's
my side.
defensive.
I'm gonna fight you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a Mac computer fight.
Oh, I'll lose that. That's
Rock'em
not even fair.
sock'em.
Yeah, you get the M2 now. So, but everybody, thanks so much. We're babbling now, and you guys have a
Yep.
spectacular day. And we will talk to you next week.
Next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lena and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.